covers all those things you do before you actually start shooting a video. Scripts, location scouting, props, and talent are a few of the things included in this topic. Luckily, there are a host of books and videos out on the actual details of the production cycle. For that reason, we're only going to cover some of the actual processes we use for pre-production. For the rest, look up the books or go to the internet. We use the Microsoft Access database product extensively in our work. It's quick to set up and works reasonably well for the kinds of things we ask it to do. Our tape content logs and our edit decision lists are all built in this database product. I've heard it said that the only difference between an amateur and a professional photographer is the amount of film they use. The same must hold true for videographers too. All I know is that our first production turnabout was 70 minutes long, yet we shot over 20 hours of tape to get that 70 minutes. You get better with practice, but you're still going to have a lot of tapes floating around. With all those tapes floating around, tracking them became critical. Early on, we set up a system and a database to label and track our tapes. The labels themselves are generated in an Excel spreadsheet. The number of the tape is then recorded in our database along with a project and a rough description of the content. That makes it much easier to find the tapes when you go to assemble your production. I'm not sure what we write can accurately be called a script, but it sure does organize our thoughts. We use the old standby Microsoft Word to write them in. It organizes our thoughts and makes sure we don't miss any critical shots. We set up a simple Word template for our scripts. The 3-inch left-hand margin really comes in handy for making notes. We tried to put the lists of the different shots we needed into a shot list on our database, but we found a properly annotated script was easier and faster to use, not to mention being simpler to put yellow stickies on. Having a script also helps when scouting for locations. Being able to show someone what you're attempting to do is a lot more persuasive than, "Hey, can I shoot some video here?" Once you have all your pre-production chores done, it's time to move on to the actual production phase of your video making. Now, there are hundreds of courses, videos, and books on the proper techniques of shooting video, capturing audio, lighting, and so on. We can't even begin to do justice to those subjects in this video. Our advice is to keep on asking questions, reading, viewing, and learning. Oh, and a few tips. Make sure you have plenty of spare batteries for everything. Always make sure you have plenty of tapes. This is about 20 hours worth. Don't zoom too fast or too much. Only use your zoom to set up the shots. Pan slowly, if at all. Keep the camera steady. Get the clearest audio you can. Avoid distracting background sounds. Practice, practice, practice. Practice, practice, practice. Practice till you get it right. Don't trip over the tripod. Okay, you're in production and you're shooting video almost daily. What now? Several things. First of all, review your tapes. I guess this is what the big guys call screening the dailies. Look at what you shot and decide how well you did. If the action or location is something you can't repeat, do it on site and then fix it if you can. We use Microsoft PowerPoint for all of our titles. We develop them in concert with our script development, so when we're ready to edit, they're ready. It's a simple process to import them into our editing software as JPEG files. The first step in actual editing is setting up an edit decision list. This is simply a list of which shots you're going to include in a production. We build this in one of our Access databases. It lists the sequence in the production, the tape number, and the approximate start-stop point on the tape. We try doing this on a daily basis so we don't lose track of where we are in the production. Once you have your edit decision list in good order, you can begin the actual editing process. Now, video clips are extremely large. We have two 20 gig hard drives on our PC, and we can manage productions up to 80 or 90 minutes in length if we manage the disk space carefully enough. We take the camcorder and hook it up to our computer using the FireWire cable. We then go through our tapes and our edit decision list and import the separate clips, storing them on the computer's hard drives. MotoDV is a quick and easy way to capture video clips. You can watch the clip in the monitor window, and when you're ready, click on the Start Capture and End Capture buttons. This does the actual capturing. You can then rename the file, and it'll be stored out on your computer's hard drive, ready for editing. Once we have enough clips stored, we can then begin building the production using our EditDV Unplugged software. EditDV uses the QuickTime standard for video and audio files. One consideration here is that there is a 2 gig file limit on any QuickTime movie. This equates to about 7 to 9 minutes of video, depending on the special effects used. For that reason, we break up and work on our productions in smaller segments. With EditDV running, we open up a project and move clips into the project file. We can then pull individual clips into a source screen and work on them. We can trim the clip to length and change the audio volume, for example. We also import the title JPEGs at this point. Once we're satisfied, we can move the clip to a sequencer window, assembling the production in the order we desire. We can also add up to 20 additional soundtracks, each with its own special effects track. We then apply any special effects, transitions, fades, and wipes, or make any other changes we want. One note with EditDV Unplugged though, none of the transitions take effect until after you've rendered or created the final video and audio production. At that point, you can play back your finished project. Remember, this is relatively inexpensive software, and one of the drawbacks is the amount of time it takes to render that final product. We go through this process with each of our segments until we have all the segments finished to our satisfaction. The rendered output of each segment is a pair of QuickTime movies, one video and one audio. Once you've finished rendering each segment to your liking, you're ready to move on to the next step. You open another project and import the QuickTime movies from each of those segments into your timeline, placing them in the proper order. Once you've done this, you've built your full-length production on your timeline, but you do not render it. If you rendered it at this point, it most likely will be over your 2 gig limit and you get an error. The final operation is to copy that full-length production back out to our camcorder. We can apply any amount of blank space or color bars to the beginning and end of the production. Once this step is complete, you have a digital master tape ready to copy to a final VHS tape or send to a dub house. A few final words about special effects and music tracks. If you're using copyrighted music or special effects, you need to have permission to use them in a production. We have found that the best way to utilize special effects and music clips is to use royalty-free or buy-out music. The prices are low and the quality is excellent. You can even have the clips delivered by the internet. Voiceovers done by professionals can also be arranged and delivered at reasonable costs. It can even be done online over the internet. Don't let your poor stage voice keep you from producing the video of your dreams.